If you asked me 2 months ago, I would have told you my marriage was solid. Not perfect. No marriage is, but comfortable, familiar. Lily and I had been married for 7 years, and I'd never once questioned her love. We laughed at the same dumb Netflix shows, made pancakes on Sundays, even had quiet little inside jokes that made dinners feel like old sitcoms. Safe, maybe even predictable. But I liked that. I liked knowing what to expect. Then came that dinner. She wore this deep red silk blouse I'd never seen before, the kind that clung to her in all the right places. Her perfume was stronger than usual, amber and something spicy, and the glow in her skin wasn't just candlelight. There was something charged about her that night. I didn't suspect anything. Not yet. Ethan, she said casually, between bites of grilled salmon and a sip of white wine, what would you think about opening up our marriage? The fork froze halfway to my mouth. What? She didn't flinch, didn't laugh like it was a joke. She just smiled gently and reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. You heard me. I tried to read her face, but there was nothing mischievous or cruel in her expression, just calm confidence. Like she was suggesting we try Thai food for a change, not upend the foundation of our relationship. Why? I asked, my voice already smaller than I wanted it to be. She tilted her head slightly. Because I want freedom, Ethan. We've been together a long time. I'm not saying I'm unhappy. I'm not. But I don't want us to get stuck. Life is short. Why not keep things exciting? I must have stared at her for a full minute before I could speak. Is this about sex? She gave the tiniest shrug. Partly sure. But it's more than that. It's about choice. About not feeling boxed in. About exploring things. My stomach nodded. Are you already seeing someone? She laughed, but not harshly. No, Ethan. This isn't about someone else. It's about us. Giving each other the space to experiment. Safely. With rules. My mind flooded with images. Lily tangled in sheets with some faceless man. Her moaning for someone else. The thought made my throat close up. But then came a smaller, more traitorous thought. What if I could do the same? I looked at her then, really looked. Her eyes were wide and curious, not cold or distant. Her fingers lightly traced the stem of her wine glass. That blouse hugged her like a second skin. She looked radiant, alive. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel a flicker of arousal alongside the confusion. You've thought this through, I said flatly. She nodded. I've read about it. Listened to podcasts. There are people who make it work, Ethan. With honesty, communication, boundaries. And if I say no? Her eyes softened. Then we don't do it. I love you. I'm not trying to break us. I just think we could expand what we have. And there it was, expand. A sanitized word for the messy, electric, dangerous, unknown. We sat in silence for a while. The sound of clinking silverware from other tables in the restaurant filled the air around us. But between us, it was dead quiet. My mind was sprinting in every direction. Jealousy, curiosity, fear, temptation. I didn't want to look weak. I didn't want to seem insecure. But I was insecure. I just wasn't ready to show it. So, I said finally, forcing a breath, what would this look like? Her face lit up. Not gleeful, just relieved. It starts with rules. Total honesty. No emotional attachments. Safe sex. And we tell each other. No secrets. That last one hit harder than the others. You want to tell me about the people you sleep with? I want us to stay connected, she said softly. To not drift. To trust each other enough to explore without guilt. It all sounded so clinical, as if we were preparing to install a new dishwasher. But beneath that calm surface was a current I couldn't ignore. Something raw, something dangerous, something real. And, God help me, I was intrigued. The next morning, I lay awake in bed staring at the ceiling while Lily showered. I could hear her humming behind the bathroom door, water splashing against tile. The woman I married was in there. But so was someone new, someone braver, older, and that shift terrified me. When she came out wrapped in a towel, her wet hair dripping against her collarbone, she looked over and gave me a tentative smile. You okay? She asked. I nodded, still thinking. She walked over and leaned down to kiss me. Her lips were warm and tasted faintly of mint. Take your time, she whispered. But time wasn't what I needed. What I needed was to understand why the idea of her sleeping with someone else made my chest ache and my blood run hot. Why I couldn't stop imagining it. Why the jealousy was tangled up in something else, something darker, something I didn't want to name yet. I didn't have an answer, Not then. But I said the words anyway. Okay, let's try it. Lily's eyes sparkled, and for a second I couldn't tell if it was victory or excitement that flashed across her face. Maybe both. That night, we had sex, slow, deep, and full of something unspoken. Her nails scratched lightly down my back, and I noticed she held me tighter than usual. When I came, I half wondered if it was the last time she'd come with only me in her mind. Afterward, she lay on my chest and whispered, "You're everything, Ethan. Don't forget that." But I knew something had already changed. The door had been opened, and neither of us knew what was about to walk through it. It didn't take long for the rules to arrive. 1 week after I agreed to the open marriage, Lily handed me a printed sheet of paper, not typed out in a sterile document format, but written by hand, in her clean, delicate script. Somehow, that made it feel more intimate, more personal. 1. Always be honest. 2. Use protection. Always. 3. No emotional attachments. 4. We tell each other, before, not after. 5. We don't bring them home. Our bed stays ours. I read them slowly while she sat on the couch across from me, knees tucked under her, swirling a glass of red wine. My hands felt clammy as I held the page. There was something almost childlike about the way she looked at me. Hopeful, a little nervous, like she was waiting for me to flinch. I didn't. "These work for you?" she asked. I nodded, though the weight of rule number 3 sat heavy on my chest. No emotional attachments. As if people could sleep with others and not stir something deeper. I didn't want to believe Lily could, but maybe that was the point. Maybe I didn't know her like I thought I did. 3 nights later, it happened. We were out at a lounge downtown, one of those trendy places with dim lights, exposed brick, and too much velvet. Lily wore a short black dress I hadn't seen before. It hugged her hips like it was made for her. She looked good. Too good. The atmosphere was electric, the kind of place where everyone's eyes scanned, lingered, searched. It wasn't long before a man approached her at the bar. Tall, shaved head, chiseled jawline. Classic Wall Street type. Confident. He smiled at her like they already shared a secret. She smiled back. I stood a few feet away, pretending to be absorbed in my drink. Watching them talk, watching her body language shift. She leaned in, touched his forearm, laughed at something he said, and then her eyes flicked to me. Just once, just long enough to see if I was watching. I was. She walked back over to me with a subtle sway in her hips that made my heart pound. "That was quick," I said, trying not to sound bitter. "He asked if I wanted to dance," she said. I said I was here with my husband. I raised an eyebrow, and that stopped him. She smiled, a little too wide. No, it turned him on. I didn't know what to say to that. Part of me wanted to laugh. Part of me wanted to grab her and walk out. But most of me just stared at her lips, at the way she licked them when she was nervous. I told him maybe later, she added, then sipped her drink. Something about the way she said it made my stomach clench. Maybe later. Not a no, not a yes. Just a possibility that hovered in the air like smoke. We danced. Her body pressed against mine, warm and lithe, but her eyes kept drifting, back to the bar. Back to him. I knew the moment she made up her mind. It was in the way her hand slipped down my arm and into mine, giving it a gentle squeeze. "Would it be okay," she said softly, "if I left with him?" I swallowed hard. My throat felt dry, like I'd swallowed sand. "You mean tonight?" She nodded, searching my face. "You can say no." I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But instead, I asked, "Will you text me when you get to wherever you're going?" "I'll be safe," she said. "Promise." She kissed me on the cheek. Not the lips. Not like lovers. Like we were teammates trading off shifts. And then she walked away. I watched her leave with him. His hand found the small of her back. She didn't pull away. The ride home alone was the worst part. Every red light stretched into an eternity. I imagined them in a hotel elevator, her laughing, brushing his chest. I imagined the dress sliding off her shoulders. I imagined him inside her, and I hated myself for it. But I was hard the entire drive home. Back in our apartment, the silence was unbearable. I poured a drink. 2. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the spot where she usually slept, and tried not to picture her moaning someone else's name. Her text came in just after midnight. "At the hotel. All good. I'll be back in the morning." No kiss emoji. No heart. Just business. She didn't come home until 8:30 the next day. Her makeup was gone, but her lips looked flushed. She smelled like a different cologne, something woodsy and expensive. She dropped her bag by the door and came into the kitchen, where I was nursing a coffee. "Morning," she said. "Morning." Neither of us spoke for a moment. Then she walked over and kissed me softly on the mouth. It was gentle, slow, with just a trace of something lingering on her tongue that wasn't mine. I pulled back. "Did you sleep with him?" She nodded once. "We didn't sleep much." The words hit harder than I expected. Not just confirmation, but the way she said it. Without shame. Without apology. She wasn't being cruel. She was being honest. Rule number 1. "Did you like it?" I asked, afraid of the answer. She smiled softly. "It was different. Fun. But I missed coming home to you." That last part was supposed to make me feel better. It didn't. She disappeared into the bedroom to shower, and I sat there at the kitchen table, staring into the depths of my coffee like it held some kind of meaning. And in that strange, twisted place of hurt and confusion, I felt something unexpected. Arousal. The thought of her moaning in someone else's arms, gasping while another man slid inside her, made me angry, and painfully, shamefully turned on. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew this. I wasn't ready for how this would change us, and I wasn't sure if that was a good thing or the beginning of the end. I didn't realize Lily was inviting Harper over until I saw her heels at the door, black stilettos, the kind that dared gravity to mess with her. Her coat hung on the back of our dining chair like it owned the place, and I could hear her laugh echoing down the hall. Low, throaty, unapologetic. Harper brought wine. Lily called from the kitchen. "You still drink red, right?" I wasn't sure if she was asking me or just pretending we hadn't drifted into some warped new normal. Harper was Lily's best friend since college. I'd always found her presence disarming. Something about the way she looked at people. Like she was peeling back layers, stripping off your armor while smiling sweetly. She had a way of making compliments feel like weapons. She walked into the living room holding 2 wine glasses, wearing a black satin blouse and tight, high-waisted jeans that hugged her in a way that made my throat dry out. Her chestnut hair was loose, wild, and she wore red lipstick like it was her signature. She was danger in human form, and she knew it. "Ethan," she purred, handing me the glass. "Still handsome, I see." "Harper," I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. "Still dramatic." She grinned. "Would you love me any other way?" Lily rolled her eyes and dropped onto the couch beside her. "Ignore her. She's already 2 glasses in." I wasn't ignoring her, though. Not really. We sipped wine and made small talk, but the current beneath the conversation felt charged. Lily talked about some guy from work who'd liked 4 of her photos in a row. Harper teased her about it, tossing sly glances my way like she was testing the boundaries. Then came the first touch. Harper leaned in to refill my glass, her hand brushing my knee. "Oops," she said, not sounding sorry at all. Lily didn't notice, or pretended not to. Later, while Lily stepped away to answer a phone call, Harper followed me into the kitchen under the guise of helping with the charcuterie board Lily insisted on assembling for the vibe. She leaned against the counter, her body close, her breath scented with red wine and something floral. "So," she began, trailing her finger down the side of her wine glass. "She's letting you play now?" I froze. "What?" "Lily," she said, stepping closer. "The open marriage thing. I'm surprised. She always acted like she'd claw out the eyes of anyone who touched you." My heart thudded. "You know about that?" "Oh, sweetie," she said, voice dripping with amusement. "She told me everything. I'm her best friend." Her eyes were locked on mine. She stepped forward, 1, 2, until there was barely a sliver of space between us. "If you ever want to have real fun," she whispered, "you know where to find me." Her lips brushed the shell of my ear as she pulled back. The scent of her perfume, warm skin, and mischief clung to the air like smoke. She didn't wait for a response. She walked out with the same sway in her hips she always had, knowing damn well the effect it left behind. Lily returned a minute later, phone in hand, completely unaware. I couldn't focus for the rest of the night. My mind replayed Harper's words on loop. Real fun. What did that even mean? What was I supposed to do with that kind of temptation, with the memory of her mouth so close to mine? After Harper left, Lily curled into me on the couch like nothing had happened. "She's wild, huh?" Lily said, smiling into my neck. I nodded, still buzzing. "Yeah, always has been." "She said you looked good," she added playfully. "I think she has a crush on you." "Is that so?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Lily looked up at me with that familiar glint in her eye. the same one she used to give me when she was in the mood. Would that bother you? I stared at her, wondering if she had any idea what had just happened in our kitchen. Or worse, if she did know. No, I said slowly. Just surprised she'd say something like that to you. She's always like flirting with fire. Lily's fingers trailed lazily across my chest. But I trust you. I didn't answer, because in that moment, I wasn't sure I trusted myself. That night, as Lily undressed in front of the mirror, I found myself watching her body like I used to in our early years. Only now, it came with an edge of possessiveness I hadn't felt in weeks. I stepped behind her, slid my hands around her waist, and pressed myself against her back. She looked at me through the reflection, surprised, but her body responded. She leaned into me, her breath catching. Our clothes hit the floor in quiet succession. We didn't speak. It was all touch, all skin and heat and breath. I fucked her with a different kind of intensity that night. Half of it was love. The other half was something far more primal. I thought of Harper, of what she said, and I hated how much I wanted to see where that road led. Lily told me on a Thursday. She was brushing her hair, standing at the edge of our bed in a silky navy robe I didn't recognize. Her reflection in the mirror was calm, poised, her lips slightly parted like she was rehearsing lines in her head. I'm going away this weekend, she said. I looked up from my laptop, blinking. Away. She nodded, smoothing her hair. Just Saturday night. Coming back Sunday afternoon. Where? There was a pause, so slight it would have slipped past anyone else. But not me. Somewhere nice, she said. With someone new. The room went quiet. She didn't look at me right away. She just kept brushing, methodically, like it was a normal conversation. Like she was telling me she was going shopping or getting her nails done. But I saw the way her fingers trembled slightly on the handle of the brush. She was nervous. That made two of us. Is this someone you've been talking to? Just met him, she said. Online. Been messaging for a couple days. It's just a night. I wanted to ask 1,000 things. What does he look like? What does he do? What exactly are you planning to do in that hotel room? But I said nothing. I couldn't trust my voice. She came over and kissed me, soft, hesitant. You're still my center, she whispered. This is just exploration. Exploration. Right. I nodded, but something in me cracked. I didn't know what bothered me more, her sleeping with someone new, or how casually she announced it, like it was just another rule on the list. Friday night, she packed a small overnight bag. I didn't ask what was inside. I didn't want to know. She wore a cream-colored dress I'd never seen before, one that clung to her body like it had been sewn for seduction. She looked radiant. She looked like she wasn't mine anymore. She left without much ceremony. Just a kiss on the cheek and a quiet, "Don't wait up." And just like that, I was alone. The apartment was too quiet. I sat on the couch for hours, drinking, scrolling through my phone, checking the clock every 15 minutes. Midnight came and went. My imagination was cruel, feeding me images I didn't ask for. Lily pressed against a hotel window, some stranger's hand between her thighs, her voice gasping out things I hadn't heard in years. I hated that I couldn't stop picturing it. I hated even more how aroused it made me. The knock at the door came just after 1 in the morning. I opened it without thinking, and there she was. Harper, wearing a black crop top and tight jeans, her lips painted blood red. Her hair was tousled, and her eyes sparkled with mischief. She stepped in without asking. She's out, isn't she? I shut the door slowly. How do you know that? Harper turned, walking slowly toward me. Because she asked me to keep you company. I blinked. She what? She smiled. Relax. She didn't mean it literally. But she did tell me she wouldn't be home. I just filled in the blanks. Why are you really here? I asked, my voice lower than I intended. She stepped close. Too close. To make her jealous, Harper whispered. And maybe, because I want you. She kissed me. No hesitation. No warning. Her lips were warm, soft, insistent. I froze for a heartbeat. Just one, but it was enough for her to deepen it. Her hand slid up my chest, curling into my shirt, and I swear my heart damn near exploded in my chest. Then she pulled back. Just an inch. Her lips brushed mine as she whispered, "You don't have to be the good guy all the time, Ethan." I couldn't breathe. Harper stared at me like she knew the war going on in my head, like she could see the parts of me I didn't want to admit existed, the parts that wanted revenge, the parts that didn't want to feel second. She stepped back, her smile slow and deliberate. "I'll leave," she said, walking toward the door. But not because I want to. She paused at the threshold. You ever get tired of being the one left behind? You know where to find me. The door clicked shut, and I stood there, heart pounding, her taste still on my lips, wondering when the hell everything in my life had become a test I wasn't sure I wanted to pass. Harper didn't wait long. The next morning, I woke to a text from her. Still thinking about last night. I am. Come over. I didn't reply. I just stared at it, like reading it again would change how it made me feel. I was still raw from the night before, from the image of Lily wrapped around someone else, from the way Harper's kiss had undone me in a single moment. The thing was, I wanted to say no. I wanted to be better than that. But I wasn't. Not anymore. 3 days passed before Harper texted again. She wasn't pushy, just bold. Lily's out again, isn't she? She was. She'd told me she was seeing someone a second time. That phrase sat in my chest like a weight. Second time. So much for one-night thrills. I replied before I could stop myself. Yeah. The reply came instantly. Then let me in. She didn't mean figuratively. Harper showed up 10 minutes later in a denim jacket over a tank top that clung like a second skin. Her jeans were ripped just enough to show teasing flashes of thigh, and her eyes carried that same dangerous confidence. This time, she didn't ask to come inside. She just stepped in, pulled me by the collar, and kissed me again. But this wasn't like the first time. This wasn't teasing. This was intentional. We crashed against the hallway wall, mouths hungry, teeth clashing. My hands found her hips, her thighs, the curve of her waist. I knew I should stop. I knew this wasn't just a mistake, it was a declaration. A betrayal. But I didn't care. I wanted to forget Lily with someone who wanted me back. Harper tugged my shirt over my head and tossed it aside. Her lips found my neck, her breath hot, needy. She moaned when I pressed her against the wall and slid my hands under her tank top. Her skin was warm, smooth, electric under my fingers. God, Ethan, she whispered, voice trembling against my jaw. You have no idea how long I've wanted this. She arched into me as I lifted her, and she wrapped her legs around my waist like she was made for it. We didn't make it to the bedroom. We didn't even make it to the couch. I took her on the living room floor, clothes peeled away in frantic, breathless moments. It was messy, intense, real. When I entered her, she gasped like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. Her nails dug into my shoulders, her body rising to meet mine with every thrust, every groan, every whispered curse. She didn't hold anything back. She cried out when she came, hips grinding, head thrown back in total abandon. It was the first time I'd felt wanted in months. Afterward, we lay tangled on the floor, slick with sweat, hearts racing. Neither of us spoke for a while. I didn't know what to say. I could still feel the phantom weight of her body wrapped around mine. Her scent lingered on my skin, floral, musky, undeniable. Harper reached over and ran a finger down my chest. No regrets, she whispered. I wanted to believe that. But guilt crept in like a shadow. Not because of Lily, she'd left first. She'd started this. But because I wasn't sure if what just happened had anything to do with freedom or exploration. It felt like payback. And it tasted too good. Harper stood, pulling her jeans back on slowly. No shame. No apologies. She watched me as she slid her tank top over her chest, then leaned down and kissed me again. Softly this time, deliberately. She doesn't deserve you, she murmured. But I'll take you, if you're offering. And then she left, barefoot, her heels dangling from her fingers, humming some quiet tune as the door shut behind her. I lay there on the floor, staring at the ceiling, my body spent and my mind on fire. Lily texted that night. Staying over again. Don't wait up. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. We'd both crossed the line now. But only one of us knew just how far it would go. It started with the lipstick-stained wine glass. A faint print of crimson on the rim of the glass Harper used. I thought I'd cleaned everything. The blanket tossed back onto the couch, the pillows fluffed, the rug straightened. But I missed that single red kiss mark sitting in plain view on the coffee table like a bloodstain. Lily didn't mention it at first. She walked past it the next morning, coffee in hand, eyes half-lidded from whatever night she'd just returned from. But I saw the way her gaze snagged on it. Brief, sharp, surgical. She didn't ask. She didn't need to. She simply raised an eyebrow and sipped her coffee. From that moment, I knew Harper was playing a different game than I was. She hadn't just wanted me. She wanted Lily to know. And she wanted me caught in the crossfire. That night, I found one of Harper's earrings in our bed. The bed. Not the couch. Not the floor. The one place we swore would stay ours. It wasn't mine. It wasn't Lily's. It was that twisted little hoop Harper had worn the night she whispered against my ear. I didn't even remember her taking it off. But there it was, glinting between the sheets like a dropped dagger. I stared at it for a long time, and then I put it back where I found it. The next few days were a minefield. Harper texted constantly, sometimes playful, sometimes demanding, always with that sly flirtation that bordered on provocation. Did you tell her? Or should I leave my panties next time? You liked it rough. Admit it. I'll be accidentally parked outside your place later. Wave if you're brave. She was unraveling me. I tried to pull back, to regain control, but every time Lily came home late smelling like a stranger's cologne, something snapped. The resentment curdled inside me like spoiled cream. One night, I found Harper's perfume on one of Lily's scarves. Not that Harper had worn it, but the scent was unmistakable. She must have sprayed it in the hallway, or brushed past Lily on purpose, or, more likely, planned it. I confronted her over text. What are you doing? Her reply was immediate. Just making things fair. She gets to have her fun. Why shouldn't we? But this wasn't fun anymore. It was war. The next time Harper came over, she made no effort to hide it. She wore a sheer blouse with no bra, jeans slung dangerously low on her hips. She leaned against the counter, fingers trailing across the marble surface, her voice syrupy and taunting. She noticed the lipstick, she said. Didn't she? Probably. She will soon. I left her something better this time. I frowned. What the hell does that mean? She smiled and slid a pair of panties from her jacket pocket, black lace. She tossed them onto the kitchen counter with a flourish. They're clean, she said, as if that made it better. But they won't stay that way. I was equal parts disgusted and aroused. Harper had always had a wild streak, but this was calculated. She wasn't playing by the rules anymore. If she ever had. She'll lose it, I said, my voice low. Harper stepped closer, running her nails lightly down my arm. That's the point. You're using me to hurt her. Her smile faded, just a bit. No, Ethan. I'm showing her what it feels like. I didn't ask what Lily had done to deserve it. I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. Instead, I let Harper kiss me, and I kissed her back. The fallout began at dinner 3 nights later. Lily made pasta, something she hadn't done in weeks. She even lit candles. At first, I thought it was a peace offering. But then I caught the tightness in her smile, the way her jaw clenched when she asked me to pass the wine. So, she said, as I poured her a glass. Harper's been around a lot lately. I kept my face blank. She's your best friend. She took a sip. She left an earring in our bed. There it was. I set the bottle down slowly. Did she? She's not exactly subtle, Ethan. No, I said. She's not. Lily leaned forward, her voice low. Are you sleeping with her? I looked her dead in the eye. Do you want the truth? She didn't flinch. Yes. I nodded once. Then yes. I am. There was a beat of silence, still, electric. Lily didn't cry. She didn't scream. But her whole body seemed to shift, like something inside her clicked into place. Not shock. Not heartbreak. Satisfaction. I figured, she said, standing up. I just wanted to hear you say it. Then she walked out of the room, calm and poised. Like she'd just won something I didn't even know we were playing for. The silence after confession is the worst kind. Lily didn't bring it up again after that night. She didn't yell or cry or demand answers. She just adjusted, smiled a little less, spoke a little softer. There was no explosion, no dramatic scene. That's what made it worse. She absorbed it like she'd been waiting for the betrayal, bracing for it, as if she'd already written the ending in her head. She started spending more time out. Friday nights, Saturday mornings, sometimes not coming back until noon the next day. She didn't lie about it anymore. Didn't even pretend. I'd ask, where were you? She'd just say, out. That was it. And then came the photo. I was in the kitchen late one evening, standing in front of the open fridge with a beer half raised to my lips when my phone buzzed. A notification. Instagram. Lily had posted something for the first time in weeks. It was a photo of her with another man. Close, intimate, his hand on her lower back. She wore a short floral dress, and her smile was radiant. His face was turned just enough to show sharp cheekbones and a perfect jawline. Someone younger, taller. The caption? Still figuring it all out, but smiling along the way. A knife in the ribs would have hurt less. I stared at the screen for a long time. That photo wasn't casual. It wasn't random. It was a message, and it wasn't just meant for friends. It was for me. She wanted me to see it, wanted me to feel it. And I did. My fingers tightened around the beer bottle until my knuckles went white. The jealousy wasn't subtle anymore. It wasn't even jealousy, really. It was something darker. Possessiveness. Rage. Regret. I didn't reply to the post. I didn't say a word. But Harper noticed. She always noticed. She showed up unannounced the next day, all confidence and attitude, a short red dress hugging every curve like it was painted on. She dropped her bag on the floor and smiled like she owned the room. "So," she said, brushing past me on the way to the couch, "Lily's playing dirty now." She posted it on purpose. Obviously, Harper said, flopping onto the couch and crossing her legs. "She's trying to get under your skin, make you feel what she felt." It worked. Harper tilted her head. "Good. Now do something about it." I narrowed my eyes. "What do you mean?" She leaned forward slowly, her lips curling. "Stop pretending you're still trying to fix something. This isn't marriage anymore. It's a game. You're either winning or you're losing." "And what are you? My coach?" "No," she said, standing up and walking toward me. "I'm your secret weapon." Her hand slid up my chest, fingers curling into my shirt. Her lips brushed mine before she whispered, "You want to really make her jealous? Let's show her what she lost." That night, Harper stayed. We didn't just have sex, we performed. Doors open, lights on. We were loud, reckless, greedy with each other. Every moan, every breathless cry was a dagger meant for Lily's ears, if she ever came home early. But she didn't. The next night, Harper insisted we go to a dinner party Lily had invited us to weeks earlier, before any of this had unraveled. I assumed Lily would forget about it. She didn't. We walked in together, Harper on my arm in a black silk dress that clung to her like water. The room buzzed when we entered. Lily was already there, in white, of course, her hair curled, lips glossed, arm looped through the same man from the Instagram photo. She saw us instantly. Harper didn't hesitate. She leaned in and kissed my cheek, slow and deliberate, her hand splayed against my chest. "Let's go say hi," she purred. I should have stopped her. I didn't. We approached Lily's table. Her smile tightened the second she saw Harper's hand resting possessively on my forearm. "Harper," Lily said coolly, "didn't know you were coming. You invited us, remember?" Harper chirped, sweet as sugar, and then glanced at Lily's date. "And you must be the Instagram guy. Cute." The man offered a polite nod, clearly uncomfortable. Lily's gaze snapped to me. "You look, well, you too." It was a stupid exchange, but everything beneath it buzzed with venom. Harper didn't waste time. She leaned in closer, her breath warm on my ear. "She's watching every move you make," she whispered. "Touch me like you mean it." So I did. I wrapped an arm around her waist, letting my fingers dip just a little too low. Harper giggled and whispered something dirty I barely registered. Because Lily was staring at us, her smile gone. The entire dinner felt like theater. Glances, smirks, touches. I barely tasted the food. The air between the three of us was thick with tension and unspoken threats. By the end of the night, Lily was the first to leave. She didn't say goodbye. Her man followed her out with a look that told me exactly how the rest of his night would go. Harper kissed me on the lips in full view of the room, then whispered, "She's losing control. And now, so are you." And she was right. We weren't two couples exploring open marriage anymore. We were combatants. And the battlefield was our bodies. Lily's silence stretched for 2 days after the dinner party. No passive-aggressive texts. No cryptic Instagram posts. No late-night arrivals smelling of sex and expensive cologne. Just nothing. The absence of noise was almost louder than the shouting match I half expected, and somehow, it unnerved me more. On the third morning, she came home. I was at the kitchen table, nursing black coffee, head still pounding from too little sleep and too many twisted thoughts. The door opened, and there she was, slipping in without looking at me, setting her keys down with mechanical precision. "You stayed out 2 nights," I said flatly. She shrugged off her coat. "So did you." Her tone was cold, clipped. We weren't lovers anymore. Not even partners. We were rivals. Both of us pretending the scoreboard didn't matter, even as we etched tallies behind our backs. "You want to talk about this?" I asked. She opened the fridge. "Talk about what?" "About Harper." She turned then. Slowly. Her eyes were darker than usual. "You mean your little conquest?" You've been fucking my best friend, Ethan. Let's not pretend you've got the moral high ground. I never claimed it. Good, she snapped. Because you lost it the moment you let her crawl into our bed. That stung. Not because it was false, but because it was exactly what I deserved. I felt the guilt rise again, thick and bitter. But before I could respond, she kept going. You want honesty? Fine. I've been sleeping with Alex. Instagram guy? She nodded. 3 times. Maybe 4. I lost count. He's sweet. Younger. Fucks like he has something to prove. She said it like a slap. And it landed. And what are you trying to prove? I shot back. That I can do this too, she said. That I'm not the only one who hurts. There it was. The truth. Not about sex. Not about open marriages or freedom or exploration. It was about pain. We weren't trying to discover ourselves. We were trying to wound each other. I told her, I said suddenly. Harper. Told her what? That you started this. That you wanted the open marriage. That you said it was about freedom. Lily laughed, cold and sharp. Oh, Ethan. You still don't get it. I did want freedom. But I didn't think you'd run to the first pair of legs that opened for you. Especially hers. She came onto me. I muttered. Of course she did. Lily said, crossing her arms. She's always wanted you. I just never thought you'd be so easy. Something broke in me. You disappeared into hotel rooms with strangers, I snapped. You smiled in photos with your hands all over someone else. What did you think would happen? I thought maybe you'd fight for me, she said, voice rising. Not sleep with my best friend like some horny idiot. I did fight. You just didn't notice. A long silence settled between us. Then she said it. The line I didn't see coming. I want a break. I blinked. From what? From this, she said, gesturing around the apartment like it was a war zone. From you. From Harper. From all of it. It felt like the floor opened beneath me. You're leaving? She nodded. Just a few days. I need to think. And then she was gone. Harper called that night. She left, didn't she? How the hell do you always know? Because I know her. I know when she's cornered. She wants a break. Harper was silent for a beat. Then let's give her something to think about. What's that supposed to mean? I want you to come over, she said. Right now. I hesitated. Harper. Bring your toothbrush, she added. And wear something tight. I should have said no. I didn't. Her apartment was a furnace. Candles flickered from every surface, casting golden light over her dark furniture and silk bedsheets. She opened the door in a robe and nothing else. No words. Just heat. We didn't speak much. We didn't need to. Clothes fell fast. Our bodies met with a hunger that bordered on violence. Her nails raked down my chest. My hands gripped her hips like I was holding onto the last piece of sanity I had left. She kissed me like she wanted to ruin me. And maybe she did. Afterward, she curled beside me, sweaty and glowing, tracing circles on my chest. You want to make her jealous? I looked down at her. Why are you really doing this? She smirked. Because she started this. I'm just finishing it. She reached for her phone. What are you doing? Posting something, she said. Just a little photo. Of us. Together. I sat up. You serious? She wants to walk away from you like you're nothing. You really gonna let her? She snapped the photo before I could object. Me shirtless in her bed, Harper wrapped in sheets beside me, her lips grazing my cheek. She posted it. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. A message from Lily. Just one word. Wow. I stared at the screen. I'd just thrown gasoline on an already raging fire, and I wasn't sure if I'd made her jealous, or if I'd just burned the last bridge I had left. The photo exploded faster than I expected. Within an hour, the likes and comments piled in. Not from strangers, but from our circle. Friends, co-workers, old college acquaintances. People who had once called us couple goals. Now, they were tagging each other and sending private messages that probably read, "Did you see what Ethan posted? Isn't that Lily's best friend?" But it wasn't just the photo. It was the caption Harper added underneath that turned it from scandal to spectacle. She wanted an open marriage. I just opened the right door. Lily called 30 minutes later. Not texted. Not emailed. Not a passive-aggressive DM. She called. I stared at the screen as her name flashed, my pulse pounding. Harper lay beside me on the bed, sheets draped over her waist, watching with a smirk that told me she knew exactly what was about to happen. I answered. Before I could say a word, Lily's voice sliced through the line. You absolute piece of shit. She wasn't crying. She wasn't cold. She was furious. rage bleeding into every syllable. You post a picture with her? After everything? Are you trying to humiliate me? I sat up, rubbing a hand down my face. It's not like you haven't been flaunting your fun all over social media. Oh, fuck you, she snapped. There's a difference between a dinner photo and you dry humping my best friend in my sheets and putting it online for the world to see. I paused. I wasn't in our bed. Don't split hairs, Ethan. I hope it was worth it. I hope screwing Harper felt like power, like getting even, because all you did was prove how small you really are. Harper sat up behind me and kissed the back of my neck. Not out of affection, just timing. I flinched away. Lily must have heard it. She's there, isn't she? Lily, I want you out of the apartment, she said, cutting me off. Today, you're kicking me out. You made your choice. Liven it. The line went dead. I stared at the screen, at the cold blue glow of finality, and felt something crack open inside me. Not heartbreak. Not yet. Just the absence of her. I returned to our apartment later that afternoon. Harper offered to come with me. I said no. There was something sacred about that place, even now. Even shattered, it was still ours, and dragging Harper into that space felt like graffiti on the last clean wall. The moment I stepped inside, I knew she'd already been here. Half the closet was empty. Drawers left open, hastily grabbed. The jewelry box on the dresser missing its usual clutter. The photo of us in Prague, the one with her wrapped in my arms in front of the river, gone from the nightstand. But the bed? Still neatly made. Almost like she hadn't slept there in weeks. There was a note on the kitchen counter, scribbled in her quick, slanted handwriting. You didn't fight for me. You competed. There's a difference. L. I read it twice. Maybe 3 times. Then I folded it, slipped it into my back pocket, and sat down at the table where this entire thing began. The night she wore the red blouse and whispered the word freedom like it was a gift. It hadn't been freedom. It had been a test. And I failed. But I wasn't the only one. Harper came over later, despite my silence. She walked in like she still belonged, tossing her jacket over the chair and slipping out of her heels. So, she kicked you out. Big surprise. I didn't respond. She had me carefully. You okay? I looked up at her, and for the first time, I didn't see excitement or temptation. I saw calculation. I saw fire. Yes, but the kind that didn't warm you. The kind that devoured. You used me, I said. Her expression barely shifted. We used each other. I wanted something real. No, she said. You wanted revenge. I just gave you the stage. That wasn't your choice to make. Harper's eyes narrowed. She left you, Ethan. Before I even touched you. She gave you to the world and expected you to stay hers. She was hurting. She broke you. She's still my wife, I snapped. Harper took a step back, something like hurt flickering across her face, but only for a moment. Then she picked up her purse. Well, she said coolly, let me know when you want someone who chooses you first. She walked out. No kiss. No goodbye. No smirk. Just silence. I spent that night alone in the apartment, surrounded by the ghosts of a life I used to understand. The toothbrush she forgot in the holder. The wine glass still stained from 2 weeks ago. The cardigan draped over the back of the chair she always curled into on Sunday mornings. I didn't sleep. At 3:14 a.m., I scrolled back through Lily's Instagram feed. Months of memories, filtered smiles, laughter frozen in amber. I paused on one from last summer. The two of us at a beach bonfire, her curled under my arm, laughing as marshmallow fluff stuck to her chin. That was before any of this. Before rules. Before revenge. Before we became weapons. And I couldn't help but wonder, had we always been a few choices away from destruction? Or had one yes rewritten everything? Lily disappeared. No texts. No calls. No tag locations. Not even a story post. It was as if she'd hit a switch and removed herself from the grid, from me, from everything we used to be. For 5 days, I didn't hear a single thing. At first, I assumed it was space, time to cool off. But on the 6th day, I realized something else. She wasn't healing. She was plotting. The message came at 11:02 p.m. No words. Just an image. A photo of Lily lying in bed, sheets half draped over her bare chest, soft golden light highlighting the curve of her hips. And beside her, with his back to the camera and his arms slung lazily over her stomach, Harper's ex. I recognized him instantly. Tyler. Tall. Arrogant. A walking gym ad. He used to come to our house for game nights. back when Harper still pretended not to want me. They'd been on and off for years before imploding in one of those mutual destruction kind of breakups. And now he was in Lily's bed. My phone buzzed again. Thought you'd appreciate the symmetry. Sleep tight. Smiley face. L. I dropped the phone like it burned. Harper called 3 minutes later. Her voice was shaking. Tell me it's fake. It's not. She fucked Tyler? I'm sorry. There was a pause on the line. Then she exhaled hard, like she'd just been punched. That's low, she said. Even for her. Why do you think she did it? You mean besides the obvious? I didn't reply. Because she wanted to remind you who's still in control, Harper muttered. And because she knew it would hit me too. So now what? There was silence on the line. Then Harper's voice returned, steel-edged. She wants war. She started it. I said bitterly. No, Harper said. You did. And I'm finishing it. What followed wasn't a conversation. It was a campaign. Harper turned our apartment into her stage, showing up in outfits she never used to wear, leaving her things in places Lily once owned. She posted stories from my balcony, took selfies with her head on my shoulder, tagging local hotspots we never used to visit. She knew exactly who was watching. And Lily didn't hide, either. She posted photos with Tyler now, smiling in cafes, dancing at clubs, walking hand in hand in filtered sunlight. There were no captions. Just location tags and the unspoken promise that every picture was a bullet aimed at my chest. I didn't know what I felt anymore. It wasn't just jealousy. It was fatigue. Everything had become a show. Two women tearing each other apart to win a game we all claimed to hate. And I was the trophy. Then Harper took it too far. She showed up one night with a shopping bag and a manic glint in her eye. I want to redecorate, she said, tossing her purse on the floor. New sheets. New energy. I looked up from the couch, wary. Why? Because this place still smells like her. She tore open the bag. Candles, throws, even a small framed photo of the two of us from her camera roll. She waved it in front of me, grinning. I want her to see this the next time she shows up. She's not coming back, I said. Oh, she will. Even if it's just to make another move. I don't want to make her jealous anymore. That stopped her. She turned slowly, her smile fading. Then what do you want? I don't know, I admitted. But not this. For a moment, Harper looked hurt. Just for a flicker. Then the mask came back on. Well, she said, her voice clipped. Let me know when you grow a spine. She left, the bag still unopened on the floor. The next day, I found Lily in our old favorite cafe. She was alone, stirring a cappuccino with that absent-minded grace she always had when she was deep in thought. I didn't plan to see her. It just happened. But I stood frozen in the doorway, watching her for a moment that stretched far too long. Then she looked up and saw me. She didn't smile. She didn't frown. She just nodded, like we were strangers passing on a street. I walked over. Can we talk? I asked. She gestured at the seat across from her. We're already doing that. I sat. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then I said, Tyler, huh? She sipped her coffee. You posted Harper in our bed. I sent one photo. We're even. No, I said. We're exhausted. Lily leaned back, crossing her arms. You think you're the only one tired, Ethan? I gave you everything. I let you have the space you said you needed, the openness you were too proud to decline, and you spat in my face with Harper. You wanted open, not revenge. I swallowed hard. So what now? I don't know, she said. But whatever it is, it's not this. There was a finality in her voice I hadn't heard before. The quiet kind. The true kind. She stood, dropped a 20 on the table, and looked at me one last time. I loved you, she said, but I don't recognize what you've become. Then she walked out. And this time, I didn't try to follow. It's been 17 days since Lily walked out of that cafe. I've replayed our conversation so many times the words barely mean anything now. The bitterness in her voice, the flicker of pain in her eyes, the way she said, I loved you in past tense. Those things still haunt me. Not because they were cruel, because they were true. The apartment's quiet now. Too quiet. Harper hasn't come back. After that night, the night she tried to redecorate our shared past into something she could stamp her name on, I didn't reach out. I couldn't. It wasn't anger. It wasn't guilt. It was clarity. I realized I was done being part of a game where no one actually won. The wine glasses are back in the cupboard. The sheets are stripped bare. I threw away the framed photo Harper left behind and finally took down the wedding picture Lily and I had hanging above the bed. There's a pale rectangle where the frame used to be, a shadow of what was once displayed with pride. I didn't cry. I haven't. But something inside me feels permanently hollow. Not broken, just emptied. I saw Lily again. Not in a cafe this time. Not through a screen or from a distance. She came back to the apartment. It was late. I heard the door open and shut softly. I almost thought I was dreaming until I walked into the living room and saw her standing there, looking around like she didn't recognize the space anymore. She didn't say anything at first. Just stood still, eyes drifting across the shelves, the wall, the couch. Her hand grazed the edge of the coffee table, slow, nostalgic. "You changed it," she said finally. "Not really. It feels smaller." I nodded. "It is. Without you." She exhaled through her nose, a tired sound. "I didn't come to fight. I'm not sure we have anything left to fight about." We sat down. The same couch where we used to share coffee, lazy kisses, Sunday afternoons in each other's arms. Now, there was a space between us that no amount of cushions could close. She looked at me and said, "I wanted it to work. I swear, Ethan. Even after I suggested the open thing. I still hoped you'd say no." "Why didn't you?" "Because I needed to know," she said. "I needed to see if we were really us, or just comfortable." "And what did you find out?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. "That we were bored. Broken, but still pretending to be in love." I looked down at my hands. I was in love. "So was I," she said. "But love wasn't enough. Not when we stopped choosing each other." That hit harder than I expected, because she was right. Somewhere along the line, we stopped choosing. We chose distraction. We chose ego. We chose being right over being together. I rubbed my jaw. "So, is this goodbye?" Lily hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, it is." She stood and walked toward the door, but before leaving, she turned back. "For what it's worth," she said, "I don't hate you. I don't hate you either. I just can't trust you." And then she left. Not like before. Not with a storm or an insult or a slammed door. This time, she left for good. A week passed. The dust settled. The text stopped. The silence became normal. I thought that was the end of it, until I got a message from Harper. It came at 2:19 a.m. Ready to make her jealous again? I stared at the screen, chest tight. I didn't reply, not because I didn't want to, but because I finally realized that none of this was about Lily anymore, or Harper, or revenge, or jealousy. It was about me, about how easily I'd let myself be pulled into a spiral of desire and retaliation, mistaking it for love, mistaking it for purpose. I turned off my phone, sat back in the dark, and for the first time since this whole thing began, I let the silence stay. Not as punishment, but as peace. People always talk about open marriages like a modern solution to an old problem, monogamy as a prison, lust as an inevitability. But no one tells you what happens when the doors don't lead to freedom, but to a slow, deliberate unraveling. I said yes when I should have asked why. I took the bait, chose pride over patience, let lust pose as validation. And in the end, I lost the only thing that ever truly felt like home. Not because she slept with someone else, but because I stopped choosing her.